lived your life in fear of being kidnapped into a violent army. This is what the people of Uganda have to face every day. They're in the middle of a 23-year-old war that is also known as the most neglected humanitarian emergency in the world today. It is important for our generation to gain knowledge about the war in Uganda. And if you've ever seen the movie Hotel Rwanda, how many of you guys have seen that movie? Then you guys probably have a general sense of what the war is all about. The last 4 years, I have been involved in the efforts of stopping this war through Invisible Children and through other organizations. I've done years in research to do so. The war in Uganda has lasted up to 23 years and is still continuing today and is spreading. The efforts to put a stop to this war has been minimal. What they are is they're anti-government rebels known as the LRA, which stands for Lord Resistance Army. They're a very, very violent army, and their goal is to overthrow the government by forcing people in Uganda to join their violent army. Children are the primary target. Young boys are forced to join the LRA to fight against their own people and their own country. The LRA, what they do is they invade and destroy villages and kidnap the children. And my next slide is, it's not too graphic, but if you guys can't handle it, like maybe just put your head down. But this is probably right after an invasion. So I don't know if you guys can see it too well, which is probably a good thing. But right here in the back, there's some people who have been shot. There's some girls here bleeding, some girls, and then most of the adults have been shot, and the kids aren't there, and they have probably most likely have been kidnapped and taken with them to a campsite where they hold all the children. Right. So this is just a blank slide because I don't want that to be in there too long because it might be a little graphic. But what they do, unfortunately, is they make the boys, they turn them into like cold-hearted killers. And how they do this is they take they take a whole bunch of boys and they line them up against the wall, and they take maybe 2 or 3 boys and they give them, AKs or guns. And they tell them, shoot this person, whether that person's your friend or your brother or whoever that they may be to you. If you don't, and they hold a gun to their head, if you don't shoot them, we will kill you. So they have, their children, 7 years old, they have no choice. And they just think, okay, I have to, shoot them. So what they do is they end up killing kids who are probably related to them or their friends, which is really unfortunate, and it's, really cruel. All right. Sorry, my other slide's got a little messed up, but this is the LRA. This kid right here is probably 14, probably 10, probably 16, and probably our age, 18, or most of your guys' age. This is as young as they do it as they'll kidnap babies, and then they'll basically brainwash them into these stages. So these are kind of stages. This guy's probably been there since he was probably born, or probably his camp was invaded. All right, and for the women and young girls are also abducted and forced into prostitution, and they're also used as own sex slaves for the army. If the women do not cooperate or the young girls don't cooperate, they are usually killed or tortured. If they do try to escape, they are murdered, because in their eyes, girls are nothing to them but sexual objects. All right, children rarely escape the conditions of the LRA. Attempts to escape will mean death and or violence. For example, what they usually do is if a boy or an adult does try to escape, they'll take them, either kill them, or at worst, they'll torture them by cutting off a nose or cutting off a lip or an ear or something, just to put them through pain to remind them, look, this is what's going to happen if you try to escape again. So it's really unfortunate. So children, according to Invisible Children in the BBC News, children make up 80% of the LRA. So this means a whole generation that will never know peace. The government of Uganda evacuates thousands of families every year, relocating them to camps in order to protect the people in Uganda. After years of being in these camps, they still struggle with conditions of finding water and disease and poverty. This is, sorry it's a little blurry. I don't know if it's the lighting or anything or the transition, but this is one of the camps that they have been into. Right over here is a hospital that they have one hospital in a radius of a whole city. So it's one hospital for a whole city. And like here, like El Cajon or like, what was I gonna say? Like El Cajon, we have like Kaiser and we have Sharp and we have all those other ones. For them, they only have one, and it's probably not even as big as Sharp Memorial Hospital. So that. And then the conditions are very poor. Food and water is extremely scarce. Women will get up in like the early morning and travel miles and miles just to get water, and that water might not even be drinkable. It might contain diseases and might carry like malaria from like mosquitoes and everything like that. So, and diseases are commonly spread here due to the lack of resources. Unfortunately, HIV is the #1 disease here in these camps. They have their lack of resource. They have lack of resources of protection, and it's like no one has shoes barely. So it's like you walk, you know, just disease spreads and from one way or the other without protection, because they, you know, they are going to be kids and adults are going to be adults, and they are going to interact in sexual activity. So, and then they don't have condoms. So what they actually do is they put like plastic bags to use instead of condoms. And obviously that's not going to cut it. So that's how diseases are really spread over there. Finding places to sleep is really a struggle. A lot of these places are just sticks and like sheets over their house. The hospitals actually, they're kind of like sanctuary. They're a place of, they can be safe. What happens is like 12 o'clock at midnight, people will line up outside these hospitals, and then they'll open the doors, they'll rush in, and they'll try to find a place to sleep for the night, you know? And people are like technically like right next to each other, like right on top of each other, but they want to stay here because the fear of the LRA coming in here and so easily getting to them, burning down their houses, they feel like that the hospital is a place of sanity. All right. Even though education in Uganda is limited, it's the only thing that the children have left to look forward to. The lack of resources and books and transportation doesn't stop these children from learning. They're very enthusiastic when it comes to learning. As you can see here, this is a boy school, because usually the schools are into boys and girls, and this is a girls' school. They have like really poor desks and probably 4 pencils for the whole school, like for the whole class. So they probably all take turns. There's another thing. It's called Schools for Schools. It's sponsored by Invisible Children, and what they do is they get high schools and colleges to raise money for the schools in Uganda, and this is actually one that they help build due to Schools for Schools. So this is a better building, and it's really nice, as you can see. So, all right. The condition and violence in Uganda has continually been growing worse every day. Research shows that in only 11 years, over 38,000 children and 37,000 adults have been abducted into the Lord Resistance Army, the LRA. The LRA has robbed the children of their childhood and dreams, and all the children know now is fear. And then that's my conclusion. Thank you.